I'm Becky Quick of CNBC and your host of The Forum. I'll be guiding you through exclusive conversations among some of the world's global leaders. Conversations previously held behind club doors, but today we invite you in. The Economic Club of New York serves as the premier forum for nonpartisan discussion dedicated to connecting the world's brightest minds with preeminent public and private sector leaders. A nonprofit 501c3, the club is a 115-year-old platform for the conversations that help shape the future of our world. The Economic Club of New York, brightest minds, critical conversations, catalyst for innovation.
And how do you follow the playbook of the past to build the company of the future?
I'm trying to make money for shareholders. That's what I've always tried to do, and so far we've done it. And I'm trying to follow the same playbook that I've done over and over again and not deviate from that very much. And that playbook is find a big industry. And building products distribution is pretty big, $800 billion. Try to find an industry that grows just by itself, organically, without me acting as a catalyst. And building products distribution has been growing about 7% per year over the last 5 years. So you can do a lot with 7% organic growth. Try to find an industry that's fragmented enough where there's enough things to buy, because the single biggest lever for value creation in my playbook is accretive M&A. And there's plenty of things to buy here. You've got 7,000 distributors here in the States. You've got 13,000 distributors in Europe. There's 20,000 potential targets out there, which is keep us busy for the next 10 years. I wanted to do something that wouldn't get metaversed, wouldn't get, just disrupted by AI or by virtual reality and suddenly not be a business and just go away.
It's funny you say that, because you are somebody who has thought about automation and how to incorporate into businesses. And so it doesn't seem to me like you are shying away from the idea of technology and automation. It looks like there could be a lot of big ways you use it in your next world.
100%. So we've always been tech forward in all my companies forever, because I believe technology makes a business more efficient. I believe technology helps you identify waste, helps you identify stupid stuff you're doing and unstupidize it, helps you find inefficiencies, makes things more planned out. I think it just makes money. Technology has a good ROI, and therefore you should be tech forward. You should be very tech forward. You should embrace technology. Should be your friend. You should position yourself so that all the advances in AI and machine learning and robotics and automation, they should be helping you. And every time new iterations come out, that should actually be improving your business and getting your business even better. So just as we use technology in the warehouse at GXO to get a leg up on the competition and get better margins, better return on capital, we're going to do the same thing here. There's a big warehouse component to this. This is a business that is kind of a supply chain business. You're buying wholesale, all kinds of different products. You're storing them in DCs or warehouses. You have a delivery truck component, and technology can help with all parts of that. Inventory management absolutely can help on that. On the demand forecasting, on the route optimization, save a lot of money doing that. And then on the e-commerce, interacting with the customer, digitalizing that. I saw Joe Wilkerson here a few minutes ago running RXO, and you look at RXO, the brokerage business there was 100% manual 10 years ago. It was just someone talking to someone. And today, 97% of RXO's orders are either sourced or covered digitally. No human involvement at all, just pure machine to machine. I think most industries are going that way. I think building products distribution, if you look fast forward 10 years from now, or even less than 10 years from now, if you look at just the end of this decade, instead of having a roughly 4%, give or take, e-commerce penetration, I think it's going to be the majority, and it could be the vast majority. I think a lot of things that customers are just in the habit, because it's the way they've always done it, come into the hub on Monday morning at 7 o'clock and buy the same things they bought last Monday at 7 o'clock. I don't think that's necessary. I think these things can be bought on the phone. I think these can be bought on your computer. I think these things can be bought in an automated way without even proactively doing it, because a lot of these things are very predictable and repetitive. So yeah, I'm not down on technology at all. I'm very up on technology. I'm up on using technology, but I don't want to get into a business, I didn't want to get into a business that I thought could not exist a few years from now as a result of technology.
More machine learning, less metaverse.
Yes, yeah.
So if you think about the future, a lot of people are very worried still about, yes, declining inflation, but worries about the cost of goods moving forward. Do you worry at all about what profits look like in kind of this era of the future? Does it cost you more to invest in that technology, or does that technology strip out the costs for businesses?
Okay, so I'll answer that in two time frames. When I started United Rentals and when I started XPO, when I went to my traditional investor base and they had been in United Waste or they'd been in United Rentals before when they invested here, I told them all, they got the joke, don't bug me about earnings for about 2 years because I'm going to build up a huge back office infrastructure, shared services for accounting and for sales and for FP&A and for prediction, all the things that are the blood and gut. I need to be able to absorb billions of dollars of revenue and get an invoice out and get paid and to pay bills and to just make everything happen and close the books promptly every month. The blood and guts of the back office, which is really, really important if you're going to grow fast. You have to have a machine there. There's a machine that's very, very well oiled. So part of that is investing in technology. And I want to get ahead of the curve in technology. I want to be behind the curve in technology. But so the first couple of years, I think the investment in technology and the investment in the back office, in the infrastructure, in the spinal cord, the central nervous system of the organization, that's going to penalize the P&L in a major way. That's fine, because that's not an indefinite thing. That's a short-term thing. And then you have this huge J-curve after that, because now you've got all that set up, and you can buy things of many billions of dollars in size and actually function well. Over time, technology will be our friend at taking out costs and getting higher margins and higher returns on capital.
Would you like to be a part of the conversations at the Economic Club of New York? Learn more about membership, the New York City and National Fellows programs, and other opportunities for engagement in the club at www.econclubny.org.
This is going to be your 8th company, as we've talked about, plus the spin-offs. Do you ever fear you can't do it again?
I think I'm going to fail every day from when I started when I was 23 years old. People have this image of people who are successful in businesses having this great macho confidence and I'm going to succeed and I'm going to win and everyone, I mean, a part of me is that because I am confident because I know what I'm doing because I'm not really improvising too much from what I've already done. So I'm familiar with it. And most of the components of this plan, I've done it 7 times before. So this is the 8th time I'm doing it. It's just fairly traditional stuff. But I think you're a robot or you're a psychopath if you don't have some fear of failure. If you don't have some anxiety, I think anxiety and worrying and thinking about where you can go wrong, I think that's part of the human condition, and it's a beautiful part of the human condition. I don't diss that. I embrace that. I think that's okay.
There was a comment from Stanley Druckenmiller being passed around on social media, this idea of diversification as conventional wisdom in portfolio management. He kind of knocks that idea down and says, if you have a good idea, you bet the farm on it. And if you're making big bets, $500 million, in this case, almost $1 billion bet in your new enterprise, how do you make sure that you're getting the most out of the big thing you're betting on?
I think there's some truth in what Stanley's saying. I think that, but as with most things, there's a balance there. You don't want to be totally undiversified and put all your chips like in the James Bond movie on like one red and then you lose all your money. At the same time, if you're going to be totally diversified, you're going to get totally boring results. You're going to get average results. So I think the trick is to find the middle ground where you're diversified enough. We have several bets going on at the same time. Like, for instance, we're going to be betting on residential. We're going to be betting on non-residential. We're going to be betting on infrastructure. So we're going to be betting on big customers, little customers, all the corporate customers. So there's a diversification there. I think you need that. And I don't think that hurts your ability to make money as long as you can pivot between something that changes to something that's more attractive there. Pivoting is very, very important in this whole concept.
Now, on one hand, you built a lot of companies. On the other hand, your first company is perhaps one of the most impressive because you're only 23. What's the biggest difference between Brad Jacobs building a business at 23 years old and Brad Jacobs building his 8th business today?
Well, I've made a lot of mistakes between 23 and 67. And I opened the book talking about, I've made mistakes on acquisitions. I've made mistakes on integration. I've made mistakes on people. I've delegated when I should have done stuff myself. I've done myself when I should have delegated to other people. I trusted certain people and I was let down. So I made a lot of mistakes. Fortunately, most of those mistakes were earlier in my career rather than later when I had a chance to understand those and digest them and to reflect on them and to not repeat the same mistakes. But if I look at of all the different categories of mistakes that you can make in business, it's the same as what's the biggest opportunity and the biggest ingredient for mega success, and it's the people. If you hire fantastic people who are honest, who get along with each other, who are driven, your chance of succeeding is much, much higher. If you make a mistake on that, you're kind of screwed. Like if you hire someone who turns out to be bent, turns out to be dishonest, that's really bad. I mean, it's just a terrible, terrible thing, and it can manifest itself in so many things. If you hire someone who's not gritty, someone who doesn't have fire in their breath, someone who's really not committed to this, someone who doesn't really enjoy accomplishing something really big and being part of a team that is going to conquer the world, it brings down the whole vibe. There is an element of this where you have to have every single member be a rock star in order to be a superorganism, like a beehive or an ant colony or a superorganism where the group is much more powerful and effective and successful than each member, where the sum is much, much greater than what each person's contributing added up. You make a mistake on any one person like that, it's just not the same thing. I've been lucky on that for a while now.
You've been listening to The Forum by the Economic Club of New York, a nonprofit 501c3 dedicated to connecting the world's brightest minds for critical, nonpartisan conversations. Be sure to subscribe now to be alerted to future new episodes. Would you like to be a part of the conversation at the Economic Club of New York? Learn more about membership, the New York City and National Fellows programs, and other opportunities for engagement in the club at www.econclubny.org. I'm your host, Becky Quick. Thanks for listening.